All right, hello everyone, welcome back. Today was the last last session for our Java plus Python. We have doing about 10-15 minutes of lecture and realized that we did not hit the record button for our webinar. So I have restarted that session. I have to kind of give you a walkthrough of where we've reached in the last 10-15 minutes and what we'll be covering. So we'll talk about access modifiers, encapsulation. There's packages which is very easy. Polymorphism to a certain extent, method, what is overloading of a method, and array list hash map enums. Now I know all of this cannot be completed easily. We'll try and accomplish whatever we can. We'll start with Java and then we plan to go to Python. So I opened up Eclipse. I went to our workspace. I created a new class called j7_static. I'm just playing around here. And to use this, I created a mybank class. MyBank class is a very simple class that we created. It has 4 parameters: a name and address of the bank, name and balance of the bank user. Then I have a constructor method that takes the initial deposit and adds that to the balance. Then I have a get balance method that is basically I'm sorry, give me a second. Going to tell us for that user what is the current balance. Deposit is the other method. I say how much I want to deposit, like let's say to deposit, and I add that to our initial balance, and we print what is happening there. I'm also calling the get balance function that is here. So that was a class, very simple public class that we have. Now in this main method, I created one user called M1 and I only set the username and the balance. Then there is M2. The same one I did, but I also did a deposit and everything kind of works correctly out there. Now the challenge comes not with these. If I say where is my bank name? My bank name is not set. What if I initialize my bank name here? I say ABC Bank. Okay, and bank address is, let's say, plus minus. So I've initialized this. Now, when I print and I say M1 dot bank name, it will be able to tell me what is the name of the bank. Okay. And the same thing with M1 dot bank address. Now I could print the same out here as well. Actually, I was trying to get static, but I think it's becoming more of a final for me right now. This is M2. So the bank name and bank address must be common to both of them. Okay. So when I print this, I will get the details as per this. Right, everyone? Now see the problem that comes. Let us say, if I say that M2 dot bank name equals XYZ. Now there are 2 problems. User is changing the bank name for only her account. Now you see what will happen. I print m2.bank name, and I print m1.bank name. Now you'll see the difference. So it says M1 bank name is ABC Bank. M2, the one user has changed the bank name, and that's a problem. So the representation is very simple. I have a class. It has these common parameters, correct? And now I have an object O1 and I have object O2. So if there are a class level parameters, okay, you don't want, if O1 changes that, let us say those specific parameters are here. If O1 changes it, then anyone should be able to make that same change to it. But in this case, we don't want anyone to change it. So I will say that that value is kind of final for us. No one can change it. User is changing the bank, and this, we don't want it to happen. But all that I do for that is put a word and say that this is final. When I say the word final, variables can only be changed from the code. You cannot change it from the object. Now, once I said final to this, can I change this from J7 static to final, please? Refactor, rename, and I'll say final, finish. See, now automatically it basically tells me that it is a final and you cannot change it here. This below cannot be done as the parameter is final and you cannot change. So where do you change it? You can always go to the class and then make a change there and say, you know what, these two, I wanted them to be final. And this is the same as writing it this way, team. Make sure that you don't get confused with those, please. I just put it into the same line, nothing else. So you can never change the words that are final, that are coming into it. Now, let's talk about any questions on this so far. What's final? You basically are keeping it as is. Let's now talk about static team. What is static and what does that do? So another class, and I think we already have something for math, correct? I don't think. Help me create a math class team. Simple math. Let's say my math. So what are the variables in this? I will always have, let us say, two variables, int x, y, and the result z, whatever we get. Now, let's say I have a public void add I'm doing static methods first, then I'll do static variables. Okay. Add, basically you send two numbers. I don't know if I need these yet, so I'll just comment these parameters. Just add numbers, int x comma int y, and what we are doing, I'm going to print x plus y plus equal to plus z. What is z? Int z equals to x plus y. I'm always taking simple examples, team, to explain concepts. So your focus is not on writing complex code, but getting to that. Okay, thank you, team. You've been very interactive today. So that's my simple add. Then let's say I have a product multiply. So x star y and int x comma int y, and x here will be this. Now this is good, correct? I have a class. Now what will happen is final is done. Let's go J28 underscore static method, and I can create. Okay, here I need public static void main string of arguments. Okay, and what is it that I want to do? My math. So my math, I'll say MA1. I'll say equals to new my math. When I do this, what happens, team? You create a new object of the class my math. So your object is of class my math, and you've created an object with the name A. It will have all the properties and all the methods it can do. So now what happens, you can say A dot add and say 10 comma 20, and that is good. And I can also do similarly A dot multiply 11 comma 20, and let's run this now. So 10 plus 20 is 30, 11 star 23 is 253. Great. Now see what is happening in this case, team. I am having to create a new object. Each time we need to create an object to use the method. All I'm doing is, all I need is the method. So when I make that method, make it static. So when you say static, static means it belongs to the class. Let me draw and explain to you. This is a bad diagram. Still can save it. Static. This is final. Class is there. Now here, what is it that we have? I have add and I have multiply. These are the two methods that we have. Now there is an object A and there is an object B that we created. So if I have to only access this method, why should I create an object is the point. So what Java came up with is said you can create something as static. So when we say static, it automatically belongs to that class. So if I create a new object or not, I can just call that class. There is nothing to do with object creation. So let us say in this, I make subtraction. Copy. X minus y minus y. Now this as such will work for us. But if I say A dot subtract, that's cool. I'm having to define an object and then say, okay, you know what? This is the values that I'm sending or calling this method. Now, the same method, if I say this is public static void, and now you will see, do you see this underline here on line 12? It's just a suggestion or an information saying it's a static method. You don't need to have an object for it. So what does it mean? I can call my math, remember the name of the class, dot that method, and pass those values. And that's good for me. I don't need to create an object called a static method. Understood, everyone? So every object or no object, it is the same thing. So you remember what we did with excel.java? Excel.java, that read Excel and write Excel, were static methods. Hence, when we were writing or reading this Excels, all I did is see read Excel. I did not say this object and then go read Excel. So for static, you don't need any object. You can use the class method directly. Understood, team? Any question on that? Now let's look at static variables. It's very similar, nothing different. I'm thinking of a better can I use the same function for static variables? I'm thinking, team. Not really. This will not help. I'll create a new one. There is phone, phone to smartphone. What else did we do? I was just thinking of something and I forgot. Static variables. Okay, I think we'll see. Maybe a WhatsApp thing can help. Maybe, I'm not sure. So let us say there is a class called for WhatsApp. And in this, of course, you'll have methods, public, static. Actually, I won't use static in this case. Send message could be one. And similarly, you can have make call. Okay. Now, let us say you have a group. So string my group. And I will say another thing. What else is there? My group name, I'll say. And shall we use, I'm just thinking, an array of members. And I'll say, this is, let's say, group members equals A, B, C, D. Okay. Just a list of all the members that we have in this comma. Now, this is a WhatsApp group team. The group does not have a name. So if I say final, can members change the name of the group? If it is final and I create here a static variable saying WhatsApp, not a variable yet, WA1 or else G1 equals new WhatsApp done there. Now I'll say G1 dot group my group name equals crazy4. Right, so I've set that name for it. And in the same, I'll also write so my name, my number. Regular, so we have a few things, team. I'm just adding a few more. It'll be easy for us out here. So I have a group name. Now I can also set my name. Okay, I'll say this is a member one team. Member one has set the group name to so and so, and M1 dot my name equals to K. Okay. I don't know why I need that array, but I just create an array. And similarly, I'll create one more. In this case, it's M2, M2, M2. Now, the crazy4. Now, look at what will happen. The WhatsApp group is common. So if one user changes, it should reflect to all. So now if I do a print, and actually let's do so group name is plus my group name. So here I'll call that method. So I'll say instead of printing this whole thing, I'll say M1 dot group name, my group name. Now I'll call M2 dot my group name. Now look at what will happen to it. So the group name first is crazy4, then next is crazy4. Now M1 will go back and say, I want to see what is my group name. Member one is going back. Member one saw my group name is this. Member two is looking at this. If M2 is changed also, nothing is reflecting team. See, they both have their own. I need it to be common. So to make it common for everything, we say static. So when I say static variable is common to the class or common slash belongs. So you change the value for one, it will change everywhere. So once I make it static, any user, so now if I say this, we change. Let's say just now. And again, we try and print both of these. Doesn't matter who changes. Each time it will reflect the latest one. So now M2 changed it. Let us see what will happen. Now I want M1 to change it. And say DC Comics. And let's run this now. So it will always print whatever is changed for the group because now they're static. Now tell me, team, why do you think there is that yellow line on line 23, 18, and 10? Why do you think? You're having more kind of that twice. I'll be happy if my kids play with these. They're more of what's that? My 6-year-old son loves Beyblade Turbo, like anything. So he watches that a lot and Roblox. He's, I didn't get an answer, team. Why is there a line on 10, 18, and 23 that says that yellow? What do you think? If I take my mouse over, what will it suggest? No, it's not. M1, M2 is not closed. You remember we had similar thing for the static methods. So then what we did, if I take an object and use that method, that's fine. If I take that class name also, I can use that method. The same thing here, team. I don't need an object to change it. So basically, what would work is instead of saying m1.myGroupName or something, what is the name of this class? WhatsApp. So I can directly say WhatsApp dot my group name, because it belongs to the class, not specifically one object. It is not an issue that statically you're changing it from, it will change everywhere. But if you are so if you're changing using the group name, class name, then there's no warning saying, hey, you know what, why don't you use the class name? It is static, right? Works fine, but just suggestions. So you may have hundreds of objects, thousands, millions of them. One change should reflect everywhere. So can you imagine how tough it would be to say, go and change it to each and everywhere? This is one of the first components of reusabilities that comes at class level. Okay, everyone understood? I don't think I spoke a lot about method over writing and overloading. I at least want to generally speak about overloading teams, so it'll be easy for you to grasp. This should not be missed. J30 underscore method, let's do overloading. So you understood the difference, team, final and static. Final, you can only change it going into the class of the program. Static, you can change it anywhere. It will change it for the whole class. So you have to be careful when you're using static. Yes, I've defined these variables as static in another class called WhatsApp. Here, only one is static, called the group name. And I'm calling them from my main method in a different class. So this is the executing program. Whenever it comes to WhatsApp, it will go there. And the best way for us to do it, team, is do a debug. Put a breakpoint, hit the debug mode. Once it gets to that, you can change the perspective or just keep it. Let me switch to the regular Java perspective. Now I will step into team. So it will take me into that specific method. It's actually going through it. It is actually doing one at a time, team. One step. There's so many sub steps it has to do to be able to reach it. Now let us say, which one am I calling here? Some of these. So you can put breakpoint here and see. This is getting called from your main method always. Now for method overloading, it's very simple, team. I'll say that I have a method here Okay, and I say add 10, 20. It's called, I'm calling it from a static method, so hence it has to be static. That's the other thing. That concept, give it a little time, you'll slowly get into it. Am I running J30? Yes. So add 10, 20 is giving me 30. Now, how about add 10, 200? So that's good. Now, what if I do the same and say 10.5 and 20.5 should be 31? And it would primarily throw an error saying that you have integers out here. How will you send double in this case with decimals? That is the issue for it. So it does not know how it can handle that. So what we do is the same thing. I would copy this method and put it here. This is my main, this is my add, and the only thing that I'll change are the type names here. This is double and this is double. Now let's see, that error has also disappeared. So what method overloading does, same name method, different variables. Now see what I can also do. I can also paste here and say int xy, and how about another one int z plus z, and that is fine too. And now I can also do add. I can add 10 and 40. That's fine, but I can also add a third variable into it, because it can accept same method name, add, the number of variables or the type of variables are changing. Same name, different variables or variable types are used. You cannot have exactly the same. If I say this exactly the same, then it's a problem. At least the method name should be different. Or I'll say this is double in this case. That is fine. So there should be a combination of it. Clear, everyone? So did we speak about method overloading also? Method overriding with polymorphism. Let's see. Just seeing. Thinking of an example. Let's say I'll say sport. That's my class. In that, I have a method public void throw ball. I'll say. In this method, throw ball. Now this is a sport team. What if I create another method similar to this can say public class cricket extends sport. So now what we primarily did is we created another class called cricket out here. Must be defined in its own files. Okay. If it has to be defined in its own file, then I haven't come to the access of public on that. So I think the public will put it like this. Cricket extends sport. Now the throw ball is, I'll say throw a cricket ball. Now the same class, I will say baseball. All right. So these are my different methods that I have to. Now, in this, sport.java is there. If I can access sport.java. More. Let's create the main method for it and finish. So now what I'll do, team, let's create some sports based on this. So if I create a cricket, I'll say cricket C equals to new cricket, and then say C dot throw ball. That is my method. And when I run this, it will basically throw a cricket ball. Now the same, if I do B and set B is instead of cricket and say baseball. So the first is throwing a cricket ball, the next is throwing a baseball. What we basically did here, team, you have one parent class and that is your sport. From sport, we took one child called cricket. From the same sport, we took another child called baseball. Now, the child's method, if it has the same name as the parent, then it will basically be overriding the parent method. So it will always call the child method. So you are looking at the methods that you can customize for your own need. So your parent class can come with some abstract or skeleton, and you could start putting in information or data into it. Does that make sense, everyone? So it is not a very complex thing, just that when you make a child object from your parent, you're also making sure that you're overriding those methods. So whenever throw ball is called, it is not going to the throw ball that is there in sport. Though cricket extends this. Now let us assume there is no throw ball for sport, for cricket, and I run this method. Now what will it say? It will just regularly throw a ball. Oops. Throw a ball, throw a baseball. So in this case, for us, where is it that I wrote sport? In this case, basically for us, where are we? Class, all class extensions. So this is the only one. This child method overrides, or overrides also you can say, parent method. Here, as okay, and you also know that every child will automatically have the parent method, correct? That means cricket will automatically have whatever sport will have. So I don't need a throw ball separately mentioned here. If I don't have it even in the parent class, then it is a problem. Is this clear, everyone? Any questions on this aspect? So in very clear terms, again, once again, just to review, I have my parent class. The parent is very important. And to that, how do I do inheritance? I can inherit using extends. Remember what we were doing here? Where did we do inheritance? Yes. We must have taken some method to do smartphone, I believe. Smartphone, see, extends phone to. And we said whatever it does, it can do more things. So what we are doing here is we are taking the overriding the methods. And primarily, this is also what we call as polymorphism. Primarily, the ability for an object to be able to perform like on various states. So it has many forms that it can do. It can do it as a child or as a parent and so on. So your method overloading is one small method, you're overloading it with different types of parameters. Your method overwriting that we are doing with polymorphism is basically you're overwriting what the parent already has. So let us say this phone2 is there. It has call and text. Now smartphone extends phone2. If I say that I have another one here called, I can't use surf again, but I can use call and say smarter call. So when I say smartphone.call, it will automatically say smarter call. So that this method is overriding the parent call method. Okay. What else was there that I quickly wanted to cover from this perspective? These are important ones, team, and I want you to get a good idea of these. Let me open up W3 schools once. We'll get a decent idea. A lot that we're talking, you should find them out here, team. So we were going through some of these. I want to talk about enums, array list, hash map also. Packages, it's API, nothing much there. Modifiers, access modifiers. So see, access modifiers, team, I showed you a couple of them. What did I show you? I showed you static and I showed you final. Remember? Static in the sense it belongs to the class rather than one object. So one changes, it will change for the entire class. Final means attributes and methods cannot be overridden or modified. No one can change them. They're final. You cannot change it. Now, but just going from the top of this list to kind of give you a perspective, team, it is very simple to get an idea. The first one is for the classes. See, any class that you create, for example, here, when I created the WhatsApp, where is WhatsApp? I said, what happened to WhatsApp? One second. What was the last one I was doing, team? cricket sport, sorry. So in sport, and comparing to this. So see what I wrote is it is all class. So when I say default, that means there is nothing written. The class is only accessible with classes in the same package. So remember this. If there is no word called public, that means that these classes, whatever you write, are only available in this default package. So if I go to source and I say a new package and I say test package, create folders corresponding to project 1, name. So what did it have? So here's the test one. So now if the same thing, I go here, create test one and say new class and say, what are we doing? Access package, access test. I said finish. This is in the package, so and so. And now if you notice team, it basically says cricket is not, it's not available for it because it's in a different package altogether. Now, when you say public, on the contrary, the class is accessible by any other class. So the same, if I take another, what was that I think I was doing? Smartphone. So in the default package, smartphone was about, let's record this method. And here, let's say, so package always has to be mentioned because it tells us where it is under our source folder. That becomes important. Okay, and phone. Where is phone? It's not accessing something. I'm running out of time also. I'll come back to this team about the package access. But the point is very simple. When you work with packages, it will get more clearer. If you say public, you can access it from other classes. If you say default, it can be accessed from the same package that is there. That is the important thing. In here, I don't think we spoke yet about public, private, and protected. I will explain those both on Java and Python. These four elements: public, private, protected. Then non-access modifiers. Final we spoke. Abstract, yeah, abstract. Then other things not so much. Final we spoke. Static we spoke. Abstract we will speak. They're all concepts, team. Just simple concepts, but you can only master them as you keep applying. We spoke a little bit about polymorphism. I think another session. Any questions? I think I have one more session lined up and I'll go to webinar for tomorrow. And the same, now I will repeat that for Python also, these portions. Java is not vast, everyone. It's just, if you look at, we've finished a lot of this in about 12, 13 sessions, correct? Java and Python together. So you should be able to catch up, team. Repeat these 2 or 3 times. It'll be easy. Do some programs, exercises, write your code mostly. Just concepts wise, absolutely yes. Concepts wise, Java is humongous. The reason being, it wants to give the developers all those tools to make better and better applications. So what we're seeing is these very beginning of how programming's happen. You use the same concepts to build bigger, stronger applications. Okay, everyone. So what else is there for us? That's that. And Python also very similar. Same concepts what we did, static final, all this private protected. We'll also repeat that more in Python and should be able to place. Selenium WebDriver. For Selenium WebDriver, most of what we've done is more than enough. We are using all those packages. You don't need to be basically mastering any of them beyond what we saw. It should be more than sufficient. All right, everyone. I'll see you back tomorrow then. I will do one more session. So this won't be the last session. Day 13. Day 14. Thank you all. We'll see you back tomorrow. Take care.